Granddad Business with Aaron Kleiber. That's my dad. Hello! Underpants? That is hilarious. You should mouth to rate and review this podcast or my daddy will go into a deep depression. Going down business with Aaron Kleiber. Yeah.
Boom. Welcome to Grown Dad Business. This is Aaron Kleiber. Once again, joined by Jason Clark.
Yeah.
You know how we do.
What would?
Once again from the Dad Cave. Jason has some interesting things going on in his life, and this is what propelled us. Propelled?
Yeah.
Propelled me and inspired me. I think I meant to say inspired.
Mm-hmm.
But for this episode, it's something that Jason and I was talking about so much that we were like, we should just make this an episode because this is a grown-up thing that you have to deal with. And, yeah, you got to.
It's the most grown-up thing that I've had to be faced with, which is my mother-in-law, who is 86 years old, is moving and got accepted into a senior high-rise.
Right.
So we are in the process of taking a woman that has lived in a home for plus 50 years and has plus 80 years worth of stuff in a home that's 3 floors. I don't even know, 3 bedrooms.
Oh, my God.
I mean, it's a huge, and she is a Depression era individual, and she believed in keeping everything. Yeah. She's not listen, I'm going to put this out there, asterisk, she's not a hoarder to the point where you can't walk through the house. Yeah. Everything has a place. It's just that everything is in a place. And that's what my wife and myself have been working on. Yeah,
that's what we're talking about. And, it's something that, people have to deal with. Mm-hmm. And, I've thought about that a couple times, like, oh, man, like, I might have to clean out my mom's house one day or God forbid, my kids have to clean out my house one day. Yeah. I'll probably go before my wife, so she'll probably have to deal with all my garbage. Yeah. All my crap that I store in my house.
Yeah, it's something you might listen to the first couple minutes of this podcast and be like, nah, I'm going to shut this off because it doesn't affect me. I don't think this is anything. No, we're telling you that in your future, chances are you're going to have to make this happen. Yeah. And, we're just going to talk about it for a little bit. And, it's really taken me through a lot of emotions.
Yeah, it's crazy.
I've hit all the emotions.
Well, and I know it probably is different for people that have to do it. Like I remember helping my wife clean out her grandmother's house after she passed away. Mm-hmm. That's a whole nother level of something that, especially when a lot of people have to do it when their parents or grandparents pass away.
That's the majority of the time. Yeah.
Right. So, I mean, sometimes that's a blessing. Because they're not around and you can just... But Jason has his mother-in-law in the room.
She's sitting there.
While you're throwing things away.
Or separating into...
Collating? You're collating?
Yeah.
Are you collating Hummel figurines?
Oh, I sent you that one picture. Hummel is not even... Listen.
That shelf. Can we post a picture of that shelf?
I have to get the written consent of my wife.
Okay.
But I would say
there's no addresses or...
Hell yeah.
But man, you were like, check out this shelf.
Taste.
Yeah, I know. That's ridiculous.
Yeah.
But no, I would love to hear if you're listening to this right now, if you want to go on my Facebook page, Aaron Kleiber, or there's actually a Grown Dad Business page now. Mm-hmm. We started a Grown Dad Business page. Well, by the time you hear this, it'll be up and, it'll be rocking and rolling. Yeah. But I would love to hear people's clean out stories. Yeah. If you had to clean out your parents' or your grandparents' house.
Or send pictures.
Dude, I would love to hear because sometimes people find the most ridiculous things. It's just...
I'm living American Pickers right now. That's what I'm doing. I mean, for me, I've found everything from, old reel-to-reel 8mm cans filled with, movies that we've got to figure out how to, we got to get these transferred. I'm sure these are movies from my wife's, her sisters. I mean, there's a huge gap. When I say my mother-in-law, she's 86 years old, and my wife is, in her early 40s. whereas my sister-in-law is in her, I think 60s. So there's a huge gap there. So we're
Right.
talking old reel-to-reel videos of them playing in the backyard in Pittsburgh from whenever. I don't even know.
Right.
The cans are actually got some rust on them that I have to pry them open. I mean, these are things. I found a trophy. I mean, this was, to me.
This is one of the coolest things because let me just preface this episode by saying I used to really love picking. A comedian friend of mine, John Evans, his Twitter handle is Thrift Store Guy.
It all makes sense to me now. I've always wondered why his Twitter handle was that.
Yeah, and also why John Evans always looks like he's dressed in old clothing from 1979 because he buys it and he loves it.
Yeah.
So...
Yeah, so I found in my mother-in-law's basement a baseball trophy
This is amazing.
It is,
and I love history.
It's the championship trophy of the Gimbel Brothers minor league baseball league from 1928.
So rad.
It's the coolest looking thing.
I've never seen a trophy like it in my life.
I sent a picture to you, and then I followed up and I sent a picture to Rick Seaback, Pittsburgh's, documentarian, and said, "Hey, Rick, direct me.
Who do I talk to?
I want to talk to someone." And he gave me somebody. There's a contact at the Pittsburgh at the Heinz History Center.
I dug into it and got really into it because when I first found out that it possibly. Josh Gibson played in this league.
Yeah.
Right before he played in the Negro League. And so it's like you look it up and like Gimbel's department store had their own baseball league and like it was mixed with like black and white players. Yeah. It's fascinating.
And we're not sure really, and I didn't really my mother-in-law did not show any real sparked interest because she's the challenge with this
Why
is with
does she have that?
Well, my wife's uncle Ray was a big-time baseball player before he went off into the seminary.
Oh, wow.
My wife has, I think, 3 priests and 4 nuns in their lineage.
That's right. You did tell me that.
So, and then my wife's father, who died when she was 7, he also was a baseball player. They played a lot of baseball. He played, his local VFW league. We found the scorebooks from when he was playing that showed, and I could go through every game.
That's so cool.
Yeah, and that's the type of stuff you want to sit down. And Jean, my mother-in-law, it's always a thing with Jean. She's going to give you the story for everything that we find, but she didn't have a story behind that trophy. She didn't have any understanding of where. Yeah. When I pulled it out, she was like, "Oh wow, look at that," but she didn't have a story behind it.
Wow.
Now, so that's something.
Do you think that's something that? Do you think that someone in your family they actually played?
Oh yes.
In that?
Oh yes.
Well, because you said she has World War I.
Yes, we have World War I
uniforms.
We have a World War I. Well, we don't have the full uniforms. I thought they told me full uniforms, but we do have the hats, and then we have 48 star flags.
That's
the
amazing.
American flag when it was 48 stars.
Yeah.
Obviously, my father-in-law fought in the Korean War.
Yeah.
So we have some stuff. Some good stuff. We have a Purple Heart. That I sent you the picture of the frame in the shadow box.
So cool.
And you got
to keep that stuff.
Oh, that stuff. Yeah. I mean, for me, going through this, it's a challenge for us because it depends on your situation. In our situation, we have a very short period of time to move my mother-in-law. And a lot of stuff to get through. What is transferring with her to her apartment? Right. What can go in there? What will fit?
Yeah.
Do we have to sell the house at some point? Do we need a storage facility in the interim? Right. Because it's just a lot of decisions that have to be made, and each situation is going to be unique.
Yeah.
And the biggest thing that I would say is that me and my wife are incredible partners in life, so we talk through a lot of things. And, and so we're in this together and making sure that also. My mother-in-law doesn't lose her mind. She's walking away from over 50 years. She raised generations of a family in this home, and now she's going to an apartment with 3 rooms. 3 rooms. You're going from 3-bedroom house to 3 total rooms.
Yeah.
You understand that this is where she's going to live out her final days.
Yeah, Wendy's grandparents, my wife's grandparents, they passed away. We had to clean out the house, and we did stuff to a point where, my father-in-law and I, we fixed the house, laid tile, did like that so we could sell it.
Yeah, I'm not dealing with any of that bullshit.
Right. But, we cleaned it out. But then I cleaned out we cleaned out my grandmother's house when she moved into a high rise. And luckily, my grandmother wasn't like a pack rat. She wasn't. She had stuff.
Yeah.
But I mean,
I have my
I know you're saying
kindergarten report cards.
Yeah, right. Like that's a lot of things.
And my sister-in-law's christening dresses and their wedding dresses. And I mean, we have already made, a donation run, here locally to a free store in Braddock to, unload clothing. And I'm, there's so much so there's a lot of different things that we have to deal with and so many different levels to this emotionally. So,
right.
as a grown up, I mean, as an adult, these are the things that you're helping another adult that, that to help them through this, this very challenging time. So, there's a lot of decisions that have to be made, and sometimes you're going to have to make those decisions on behalf of someone else. And dude, we're not going to make every decision that she would
tough.
Want. So there's the sentimental pal, there's the donate pal, there's the sell pal, and being that my mother-in-law is from the Depression era, there's value to everything to her. You can sell that. I can get money for that. And I'm looking at her going, Gene, I will get you $25 for that refrigerator. She goes, oh my goodness, no, Jason, no. I'm like, listen, no, Gene.
Yeah.
That thing is not worth.
It's 30 years old.
Anything.
Right?
She's like, oh, we just got that, and no, you just got that, and it's 10 years old, and
we just got that.
Yeah. So
I've fallen into that too. I'm like, oh my gosh, I just bought this, and my wife's like, no, you got that in college.
Yeah.
College was 15 years ago, and I'm like, oh my god.
Oh. Yeah. So we have all that going on.
I'm like, no, this laptop is still good.
Yeah. The other side,
and it's like a Dell from '99.
Where's that floppy disk go? So you have all this history, and it's really neat. Like I'm into that too, and I can find myself falling into that trap where I'm sitting there reading through books and things.
Oh yeah.
I mean, books. You start in a library, and you need a lot of.
Would you like to start a library?
I have you covered. I get you started. I've got a lot of books. My father-in-law, John, who passed away a few years ago. It's my wife's stepfather.
Right.
And he read a lot of books. Like,
did he read them?
Oh yes. Oh, wow. John read them all, and I've got easy 200 books. I have over 200, and then I know that number, 200 VHS tapes. You want a Disney? You want Fox and the Hound? I got that. What do you want? You want Nemo? I've got that. I've got everything. I've got them all. And I will tell you, there was a moment, and I texted you, where I'm like, I need to see, is there value to VHS tapes? Nope. In my head, I'm like, no, there's not.
Niche.
And I went on, and I remember seeing something about Disney VHS tapes.
Yeah.
And there was something in my head, and I went online, and it said,
I know what you're talking about.
Black Diamond Collection.
Yeah.
And I'm staring at 10 easy Black Diamond Collection VHS Disney movies. And it says, could be valued up to $80,000. And I just sat down on the bed for a minute. And
what did you find out?
I pumped my brakes. It's a hoax.
Yeah.
But understand, when you pull something up quick and you're like, I remember seeing something.
The Disney movie hoax is up there with the re-release of Star Wars stuff. People think that from about 95 to 98, all this Star Wars stuff is worth money. They made so much of it that if you go into any toy store, collectible toy store, vintage toy store, you go to any Comic-Con, toy show, comic convention,
you're going to find it all.
You're going to find so much Shadows of the Force, all this Star Wars stuff, and also they made so many of those big box Disney movies.
Yeah.
I mean, Little Mermaid sold like 50 million copies.
Yeah.
I mean, they're everywhere.
But you can go on eBay, and you will see people, because you can put any price on anything on eBay.
Oh, I know.
And if you go on eBay, you will see that they will have it for $25,000 for.
Do they really?
They're on eBay.
That's you can go on there.
It is. They have them on there listed. It's live. It's on there. You can go and place a bid, and it says starting bid at $25,000 for Cinderella, the Black Diamond, or whatever. And so you look at that, and you're like, oh. and then what you do is you filter through, and
This
then
is
you
the
see
dumbest
what
thing
it's
I've ever
selling
heard.
for. It's selling for $1.75.
Yeah.
You know, but people are putting them on there in hopes that
Right,
people
right,
are
right.
like, oh, hell yeah,
No
I can
one's
turn
buying
this
that.
away. No, it's fake. But, you know, those are the things that that you see. And again, we're not looking at this of how are we paying off bills. I mean, it's about getting her moved, but there's definitely value out there. I mean, we're looking at estate sale. You know, bringing someone in and they take care of all that
Yeah.
for you. I mean, there's companies out there that I'm about convenience, as I said to you. I mean, there comes a point where you just have to find the convenience factor, and paying a percentage to somebody to move something for you, for me is
Right.
important. More
Yeah.
so than trying to sell 100 different things. Me trying to sell 150 angel statues.
Yeah.
That's a modest amount. I'm telling you, that's
Yeah.
what I'm dealing with. Each individually on eBay, it's not going to happen.
Right. Yeah, and it's funny too that like I've heard stories from people on the internet and some friends is like when they clean out their parents' or their grandparents' house, they find out things that they didn't know about their parents, or like they find out weird stuff. Like there was a story about a guy was cleaning out his dad's house and he found out he had another family.
Oh yeah,
That kind of
I
thing.
remember
and,
this. Yeah, that was a story.
I mean, now obviously your mother-in-law is still with you in
Yeah.
the room while you're cleaning out. I mean, I'm sure I would love to hear some of the weird things that people find. I'm sure it can get kind of weird, and I'm not trying to get personal and dirty, you know.
I have all the confidence in the world that I am not going to find anything that is going to make me go,
she's
hey,
still
Gene,
with
Gene, what's going on?
She's still
Yeah,
with you
no.
guys. She has plenty of time to hide those things or
No.
get rid of it.
No,
I mean,
man.
like I don't know if this is none of my family listens to this, but like I remember cleaning out my grandmother's house.
Oh boy.
And we found like a 1980 little vibrator friend, like a little guy.
You gotta work your kinks out of your neck.
But it was just a little. It was just like a little. It was like a. You know what I mean? Just a little baby guy.
Yeah.
Just a little something like, you know, I got to work out the kinks in
in my neck, yeah. It had a
Yeah.
rough day at the office.
But you know, I was an adult.
Yeah.
You know, I think I was like maybe like 20 something. You know, I'm like, okay, my grandma's a human being. You know what I mean?
yeah.
Not a big deal.
yeah.
You know, there's nothing shady. You know, she forgot. Matter of fact, she forgot about it. Like it's been a long time.
Yeah.
Okay, so you know, this is so awkward.
That was an awkward one.
It's weird.
But understand
But
that you got to
stuff
have that
like
mindset that it
it's like,
it's a
they're human
possibility
beings.
that all of a sudden you open up this under cubby hole and it's filled with 1970 era's porn.
Right.
You don't know. I don't
I
know.
mean-
I'm sure, like my parents, you know what? Yeah.
I mean, you clean out an old
Probably.
guy. You clean out an old guy's house. Your grandfather, your dad.
Yeah.
You're gonna find a 1972 Playboy,
Yeah.
most likely. Mm-hmm. You know, it's not like in his treehouse buried down and the the thing's falling apart. It's
Yeah.
not creepy.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, he got this one time
Yeah.
and he shoved it in a closet.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He was like, he had to see Farrah Fawcett.
Yeah.
You know, like whatever.
I've just through all of this, and
Let's go through your internet history.
well, that's the thing. You all cleaning your browsers out right about now,
Yeah,
because
right.
if you don't make it home,
Well, that was the browser. That was
Yeah,
your
that was
tool
their
chest in the garage, your closet in your garage. That was your browser.
yeah. So I think the other thing I told you, like going through like the emotions of all this, I think it also opened my eyes up that like I don't want my kids to have to go through the
Oh, I
levels that
know.
we're going through with her, and I'm not in any fear of that
Right.
because my wife and myself, we are not. You said pack rats, hoarders, whatever you want to say. We don't keep a lot of things. I am very quick to throw things away,
Right.
to a fault. When we're pulling out paintings my finger paintings that my wife did in 1978 that have been
Oh, really?
saved, and I'm looking at my wife going, oh, this, and I took hell because I threw away my wife's favorite painting that my son did in kindergarten. It was on the fridge for years, and one day I was just like, I can't handle all this shit on my fridge, and she came home, and that was an issue. And so there are things that are important to each other that we have to respect, and that, when I'm looking at my mother-in-law, I mean, everything is important to her. And
Is
that's
that hard though?
You see her emotionally going through it.
Yeah,
And at the end of the day, again, she's an 86-year-old, woman that, it's a lot. And you see it, and you could see it. We sat down and we went out to dinner afterwards and sat there. You could see how exhausted we were, exhausted because physically we're doing all this work, but you can see the emotion of everything coming to a head with her. So that's where the difference is as far as like moving your grandmother's stuff and she had passed away versus sitting there with the individual and having to go through all this history.
You know what's cool too is that it does seem like a pretty interesting bonding time. I mean, but
all right.
But I mean,
all right. Yeah.
Do you think it's a special thing that your wife gets to like explore her mom's house with her and hear about things? And do you think there's something like a positive there where, you can kind of go through the history of your life and your family?
I do think that there's been moments of that where Melissa has really, because Melissa also has that same type of tendency that her mother has, that, that these things mean something, and that's great because I have that too. Like saving the first wine bottle that my wife and I drank out of as on a date. It made it through 1-2 moves. Like it didn't make it to my house. So at some point we made a decision to not keep that stuff. But there is that sentimental factor, and I think that there have been moments where Melissa and her mom have been sort of like. Yeah, it's cool to see that, especially for my wife to see things about her father, who died when she was 7.
Oh, right.
When we found,
so there is that stuff.
Oh, yeah. When we found his flag that adorned his casket, in the triangle shape, folded.
Did she remember that?
Oh, Melissa. Oh, yeah. She remembers a lot.
How did he pass away?
He had a heart attack.
Wow.
I believe that's how it went. And he was not here when it happened.
Right.
He was in Missouri visiting Melissa's sister.
Wow.
Because her sisters are grown and married and have kids at that point.
Wow.
So the thought is that Bob knew. He knew that he was ill and it was going to happen, and he wanted to go see Karen and his grandchildren in Missouri one last time, and he did. He passed away there.
Wow.
So it did create it has created a whole nother thing.
Yeah.
Within
That's
the family.
an interesting thing.
But Bob, so Melissa was 7, and that's a lot. I mean, to think as a 7-year-old to go through that, and then to see her mother, go through that. I mean, she lost her love of her life. She lost her husband.
Yeah.
It's such a young, and she's got this little 7-year-old now that she has to deal with alone.
Right.
And so, so you see that with Melissa, and so I love to see Melissa see things about her father.
Yeah, that's
I love
cool.
to see that emotion in Melissa of just like, I see that it brings her joy. It doesn't bring her sadness. It is nice for her to see those memories of her father, and, and it's special. It's special to her. So that's one part of the experience. So I can see what you're saying, that I think that it's not been a fight. I will tell you that. I thought this would have been a whole blow up, but it's been handled really well. So I think that taking the emotion into account is important.
Yeah, I think I don't know. Does that make sense? It is a special thing.
It is.
What I mean?
Yeah, it is a special
thing. You don't
thing.
think about it right away.
I'm the one that's on the sidelines going, this is a great thing, Gene, and you're going to have this brand new apartment. They're putting in new carpet for you, and it's going to be all painted, and you won't have to worry about this and worry about that. I'm the one that's cheerleading that. And then Melissa's on the other side going, okay, we got business to conduct. We got to get you moved.
Right.
We got to do this. But, oh, my goodness, look at this from Daddy.
Yeah.
Finding a love note from a boyfriend that sent it to her while he was stationed in Honolulu. This is before she met my wife's father.
Wow.
I mean, in the
Holy
paper,
cow.
the paper is yellowed and brittle.
It's crazy.
And it's a card, I mean, those are the type, and we're just sort of getting into some of those crevices now of the house, of the things that are put away. And,
because you don't, to go back to like, I think of it as like, oh, what a great picking experience, or like a history thing. Like it's a neat thing. Mm-hmm. It is an emotional thing. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And you got to, and two, I learned, doing it with my wife's grandmother, it's like, it is a nostalgic, emotional thing. It was very emotional for like her dad, her aunts and uncles who are her grandmother's children going through this stuff. It's like, you go in as like a helper.
Sure. I'm the hired help.
Right. And you don't realize it's like, this is their whole life. Mm-hmm. This is the whole history of somebody who is so important to them.
Oh.
Their parents, their grandmother, their grandfather, whatever. You don't think about that.
I have nothing.
Yeah.
So my relationship with my family is just, it's non-existent.
Yeah, right.
So any
okay.
any childhood pictures and things, I don't have any of that. I
don't have any either.
I have one box.
Ours with circumstances. We just don't.
Oh, you just didn't have yeah. I mean, we're the same way in a lot of ways growing up. I mean, there weren't like a camera at every function taking pictures of everybody.
Us
We didn't
either.
really
We weren't
have
like
that.
We weren't into that.
Yeah, but
which is why I'm still not like that.
Yeah, I have a box of stuff that's more dated, like my high school years. That's upstairs in the
I have nothing
attic.
from that
I have a
either.
little bit of that, but I mean,
I have none
dude,
of that
I'm
either.
talking about open up boxes with 1,000 photographs in them, and that's just
my
one
God.
box. We don't even know who. Like, I can show her a picture of somebody, and she go, "Oh my gosh, I have no idea who that is." Plus, you have to understand too that John,
that's funny.
Melissa's stepfather, he then brought his family history into the home too.
Oh, right.
So there's stuff from John's family that's in there because he
That's
had,
interesting.
because they had married much older,
Right.
And he had a whole nother family that
Really?
he had from a divorce.
Oh, geez.
So that came in. So we have a whole thing for his family. That
I think we're writing a movie. I think it's to be a good movie.
Yeah. There's a lot of levels to it. So, I mean, you just don't know. Like, if you're looking at your parents now and they're ways away from ever thinking that you've got to make this move, start going through the shit and tell them to get rid of some stuff. Because we started this talk 10 years ago.
I'm so blessed that my wife, she will pick maybe, I don't know when it is, by the way. It's always a surprise. Where all of a sudden she's like, we're getting rid of everything.
She's had
I'm
enough.
throwing away everything. Or I'll come home, I'll go on the road doing comedy, and I'll come back and I'll be like, why are there 9 trash bags outside? And she's like, she'll try to Jedi mind trick me. She's like, you did not see those trash bags outside. And I'm like, what did you throw away? I still, to this day, will not let her live down throwing away some T-shirts of mine. Now, I was a T-shirt hoarder. I still have lots of T-shirts. I need to get rid of T-shirts.
You need to make them into a
I'm wearing,
throw.
I should get rid of. But it's a good sleep shirt.
It's got a hole right where the belly button is.
My wife, she threw away my original Today Was a Good Day Ice Cube shirt. Yeah, I just saw your face. Original. I purchased it probably in 94. Your face says it all. That's how I felt. She said it had a hole in it. I go, I don't give a fuck. It had Ice Cube on the front. On the back, it said today was a good day.
It had back art. Stop.
Dude.
Stop.
Ice Cube on the front. Stop. On the back, it said today was a good day.
That's right.
I've had that since like 8th grade.
I got
another one I'm gonna hit you with.
I had a Metallica T-shirt. I was a big Metallica fan. I love Metallica. My music style's all over the place, but I was a huge Metallica fan. And one thing that I wanted was a white Metallica shirt, and they were hard to find.
Really?
Yeah, it was usually everything
Makes
was
sense.
black.
I get it.
So I got this white one.
Yeah.
Got it at a concert, and one of my kids' red socks as babies made it into that laundry, and then I had a pink Metallica shirt.
You had a pink one.
I had a pink Metallica shirt.
Okay.
That's not a depressing story like your Ice Cube story, but I had a T-shirt story, and that's the only one I got.
I also had, that my wife threw away, just a black shirt with a Wu-Tang symbol on the front. Hold on, dude. I got this maybe 95, 96. Just a yellow Wu-Tang symbol on the front. On the back. CREAM. Periods.
Yeah.
And then cash rules everything around me down the shirt.
So this shirt was from 94, 95.
96 maybe.
She threw it away when?
Oh, like 3 years ago.
See, that's women would never understand dudes wanting to hold on to a shirt that long. They don't get it. They don't get it. They don't get that.
It's like
a shirt to that.
It's two of my favorite shirts of all time. And then there was this other shirt that I got at a thrift store that was like this weird surf shirt, and I just loved it. I loved the art on it. She kept that one.
Oh.
I go, how do you keep? Now, when I say this, if anybody knows me from high school, it was a maroon shirt that said Hi-Fi on it. It was some surf company, and it had like a tiki god on it, and I loved it.
Was it like Ron John or
no, dude? It was Hi-Fi. I don't know what the heck it was. I loved it. She kept that one, and I'm like, you didn't keep the Ice Cube shirt that said today was a good day. Like that's like
you wore that surf shirt to church one Sunday.
I probably did.
And she was like, "Oh, that was a good church shirt."
Probably.
You did.
It's not a good church shirt.
No.
That's crappy too.
But you probably did.
Do you know how much weed I smoked in that Hi-Fi shirt?
No.
Don't say that.
No.
You're not allowed to say
That's
that.
a whole nother episode.
It's back in 95, son.
Yeah. I got a story about 95.
But no, dude, that's I think it's an amazing thing of moving your parents and cleaning up and stuff like that. It's definitely a grown dad. This is a grown dad episode.
Yeah, when I sent it to you and you said, "Hey, do you think we should talk about that and do a podcast?" I go, "This is the most grown
It is
thing
some grown ass
I've
stuff.
done. Like this is up there.
I love
it. You know, it's up there."
Well, we got right into it, but we don't have a lot of shows this month, but at Arcade Comedy Theater, January 21st, there's going to be 3 awesome stand-up shows. 8 p.m., Gene Collier from Pittsburgh. Also with him, Sean Collier, his son.
Such a good show.
Yeah, and Suzanne Lawrence. And then at 10 p.m., it's going to be Jason's stand-up birthday show.
Oh, my.
And then at midnight, John Dick Winter's Technically Sunday. So January 21st is a triple threat stand-up show at Arcade Comedy Theater. And I'm going to be getting around first week of February. I'm going to be at Morty's in Indianapolis. That's going to be some
Is there a Morty?
No.
No.
I don't think so. Maybe.
Could have been.
Other than that, if you like movies, Handle the Truth podcast with me and Sean Collier. That's the other podcast we do. But yeah.
On the Epicast Network?
Yeah, Epicast Network, epicastnetwork.com/services. If you think you would like to have a podcast or even need live event promotion, live event audio or video, photography, go to epicastnetwork.com/services. Buzzy will hook you up. All right, guys. That's it. We did it, bud.
We did it.
Hey, be kind and be funny. That's what we got to tell people this more often. You son of a bitch.
You son of a bitch.
We haven't done this son of a bitch of the week.
Yeah.
Who cares? We'll just come up with different segments
every
once
in a while.
Whatever.
It's like, you son. This
This
son of
segment
a bitch right
is
here.
what ice cream flavor are you feeling like today? Not going to answer that.
Strawberry.
I'm a grown man. You're a grown man.
That's okay. I'm comfortable with my ice cream choices.
You son of a bitch.
You son of a bitch.